So first of all, after I bake my cakes, I freeze them in saran wrap. I leave them in the pan and then freeze them first and then put them in saran wrap, so that the cake can be, it keeps its moisture and it holds its shape better. So when I'm decorating it, it doesn't move around on me or sink in or anything like that. It's not gonna dry the cake out at all. It does the opposite. It keeps the moisture in the cake. Right now, I am adhering some frosting on my 8-inch cake board to attach it to my 10-inch cake board for the decoration. Some people use tape, but I don't. I like, for the simple fact that it's the icing there for some reason. That's the way I learned how to do it, so that's the way I do it. So here we go. First, I'm going to put down my first layer of cake, and I'm going to do a crumb coat. So you guys can listen to some music while I do this crumb coat on this cake, and I'll come back and show you what else to do. All right, so here we go. I don't know if I told you guys, but this is a pistachio cake. Um, and right here, I'm going to put some vanilla simple syrup on it just to ensure that it's as moist as I want it to be. So I'm going to put that on there, and I'm going to do it on the next layer. I don't do it on the bottom layer so much because once it actually starts to unthaw, I don't want the weight of the top 2 tiers to smush down on the bottom layer. And try to get as much icing as you can on to the sides so you won't have to worry about the crumb coat and putting so much icing on the side once you do your crumb coat. You want a decent amount in the middle just so they could get a taste of the frosting, but we're going to be putting extra frosting on the outside, so we're not going to be worried about putting so much frosting during the crumb coat. And you always want to put the top layer upside down so you can get the straightest edge possible on your cake, on the top part of your cake. You don't want to use the other side because it's kind of, sometimes it has a like a rounded edge, and you don't want to use that, just in case, you know, you don't want a hump or anything like that. So you want it as flat as possible, and you want to try to get it and smooth it as flat as possible. My icing has a lot of air bubbles in it, but we're going to work with it. And then once you get to the side, you see how I'm using the icing that's I pushed out from the tiers to go down to the sides and make it and cover it that way, so it won't use so much icing. You don't want to kill them with icing. You just want them to be able to taste it. And like I said, we're going to put another coat on here, so you don't have to worry about it showing through or anything like that. I haven't perfected icing cakes like most people, you know, professionals or whatever, but this is just my way of doing it. I started decorating cakes in March of this year, 2022. And I have been loving it ever since. It is one of my favorite things to do in life right now, besides sleep. So I am just loving decorating cakes right now. So, and when you get this as smooth as you possibly can, I take this, somebody is texting me. I take this to the smoothest point that I can get it with just this offset spatula, and then I go with a bench scraper and bench scrape it as well, so I can get it as smooth as possible, so I'm not, once I get my second layer on, it's not bumpy or have ridges in it or whatever. And that layer, the layer that the people are going to see, is smooth and beautiful. So you want to kind of keep that, your underlayer, you know, it's like a garment. Keep your underlayer smooth and everything else will be smooth as well. You don't have to just, quote unquote, just be just meticulous with it, but you want to make sure that it's as smooth as you can get it. And so this is the bench scraper, and I'm going to take it and try to go around the cake as smoothly and in one sweep as I can to see about getting it as smooth as possible. Getting it as smooth as possible. And this will show you where you need to add more icing to it. See right here, I got a gap. I don't know if you can see that on camera. I got a gap right there, and so I'm going to add some icing right there so it won't be gapped when I put the final coat on. So I'm going to smooth that out, get those gaps, and then take the bench scraper again and go back over it. Now, if you're doing a semi-naked cake, you would scrape the majority of this off, and then that'll be what you're doing. But for this cake, we're not doing that, so we're going to put it in the freezer for about 15 minutes so that it can get hard and cool and set. And then we're gonna add our second coat. And then at the top, we're gonna level it out as much as possible. So as level as it can get, because you want it to be level for your second coat as well. So clean as you go. Clean off your bench scraper because it'll leave some more like that right there. It'll leave little icing. I just used the back of my bowl that I have sitting here with icing in it right there. And I just scrape off and keep scraping. And you want it to be as level as possible. And then you go back around with your bench scraper and do it again, just in case you miss something. And then take it at the top. I'm just adding some more icing right there because I want it to be level. And now look at your cake, eye level with your cake. Make sure you're level. I do want my top to be as level as possible before I put it in the refrigerator, because I feel that you can stack icing on top of it and keep going until you get it level. But if you level it out in the beginning, you won't have to do so much work to level it out in the final stages. So just filling in my gaps. Filling in my gaps, and I think I'm done. All right, so you see how that is. That's your crumb coat. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator. I'm going to clean up my board a little bit. Put this in the refrigerator. And we'll come back and put our final coat on and do our fault lines and decorate. All right.